G'day everybody, Simon here, Explosive Action, back for the Heavy Metallurgy doing another review. This time we're going to take a look and listen at Excarnated Entity's debut full-length album, Mass Grave Horizon. Excarnated Entity are a four-piece from Portland, Oregon, with members of Triumvir Foul. From their inception, the band have aimed to deliver a crushing brand of death doom. Their independently released demo, Stillborn in Ash, from 2018 was so well received it was picked up by Extremely Rotten Productions for a second run on cassette. Then, in 2020, it was published to CD as well as vinyl by Nuclear Winter Records with an updated logo. In the 28 minutes and 4 tracks of this demo, the band successfully drew from the best of the early peaceful bands such as Paradise Lost. Now, in September 23, their debut full-length album, Mass Grave Horizon, is released. Immediately, the album kicks in with a very slow and deliberate riff on the short opening intro song, Abjection, dripping in desolation and despair, combined with very purposeful percussion that pounds into your skull like the steady swing of a mallet. The second track, Carcinogen Shroud, briefly drops all doom pretense and goes for the jugular with some of the fastest speed that you will hear on this album. A blasting barrage of tremolo riffs and thundering drums, the first taste of vocalist Dan's booming and guttural attack. It takes until the halfway point through this over 4-minute length song before the band return to drink deep from the well of doom, adding in a chime bell at the end of each bar. This song reminds me the most strongly of the first EPs from My Dying Bride, switching from the fury of death metal to the solace of doom with such ease. The third track, Irradiated Shadows, begins at a mid-pace, accelerating to a death metal onslaught of a blizzard of riffs and blast beats. This track has a lot of Privilege of Evil amorphous to it, or Mexican band Cenotaph from their classic album The Gloomy Reflections of Our Hidden Sorrows. In the final third, the track finds power in the single-note palm-muted chug riff and peppery but sparse kick drums, adding in a prime example of twin guitar harmonies. The fourth track, Corridor of Flame, opens with the crushing doom that you came here for. Very airy and open riffs and minimal cymbal hits. It's about now that I'm reminded of Inverloch, the spiritual successor to Disembowelment, a band that spends more time in the dirge of funeral doom than Excarnated Entity do, but like Disembowelment have moments of ferocity. This song builds into the middle with a glorious dive bomb that is timed with the return of the ferocity. The lead guitar in this song is particularly mournful, an emotional rendition in a style I heard Jade play on last year's The Pacification of Death. The same sad lead guitar opens the fifth track on Paralytic River E, though the main riff sits somewhere between Ruins of Beverast and the early Finnish death metal scene. This track is particularly thick and nasty, also featuring a standout but restrained guitar solo. The title track, Mass Grave Horizon, is particularly direct in its expression of incantation-style death metal, going from swirling tremolo guitar to heavy chugging riffs, pieced together almost in a verse and chorus-like structure. A fast-paced track with brief moments of crawling doom, accompanied again with that lead guitar that exemplifies solitude and decay. The opening drums on the Butcher's Pulpit sound straight from My Dying Bride's Songs of Darkness, Words of Light, and that's in the best possible way as I hold that album to a high standard of doom. They move along with the guitar into a slow chug and double kick, the vocals taking on the angriest and raspiest tone thus far. This track is the most straightforward on the album, and that is to its benefit. The heaviness is amplified by a more crude and visceral style of riff, and the increased use of tom drums. The song exits to a very disjointed sounding lead that winds down in tone to lead us into the final epic, Gallery of Defeat. The final song is the longest at 8 minutes in length and is the culmination of all the tracks that came before it. The riff face is worn proudly as the double kicks and nasty sounding staccato riff come in at the first minute mark. This song is a swarming mass, all instruments firing at their most heightened. The final minutes wail on a lead that sounds as if it's calling out from the tomb. The main riff of the song repeated and pounding into dust with the drums fading out to guitar feedback. The debut album from Excarnated Entity is everything that the Stillborn in Ash demo was, evolved. I had no expectation of a full length from these four guys this year, and was excited to jump on the promo as soon as it landed in my inbox. The production is perfect. All instruments are well balanced, not dominated by any one sound. The bass adds to the heaviness. The vocals are hoarse with decay. You may have seen me on Heavy Metallurgy recently with my halfway through 2023 Top 10 Albums list. I am pretty sure that Massgrave Horizon will be battling for a spot in there after a few more listens. The album is released by Nuclear Winter Records on September 8th on CD, cassette tape and vinyl LP, and I highly recommend picking it up. My call to arms today is the surprise return of Japanese death doom band Transgressor and their upcoming 5-track EP Beyond Oblivion. Although the band had a handful of splits and some compilation appearances, this is the band's first significant amount of new material since 1992's Ether for Scapegoat. Opening with a solo that one might find in 1980s heavy metal, the meat and potatoes of this song is that old school death doom that you would be familiar with from Autopsy and Cyanide. Modern bands like Anatomia and Coffins owe a lot to the sound of Transgressor. Their debut album is a cult classic, revered by those who know, but otherwise largely forgotten to time. A healthy dose of D-beat livens up the slime-ridden doom, but always the riffs have meaty hooks and the putrid aura of the tomb. Very raw sounding and loose rhythm guitar that reminds me of Necrophagia's Holocausto della Morte. There's often a swagger to these riffs, a style that Static Abyss also have in their two recent albums. The end of the third track, Infiltration, could easily appear in Bloodduster's Straight Outta Northcote. The lead, however, takes its tone from Stockholm, Sweden's bands of old Sunlight studio sessions, and the vocals taking centre stage are pitched deep to early Acid Witch and almost Demolish levels. The production is very organic but still clean, which helps on short instrumental fourth track For Nothing, with its moody acoustic guitar combined with the noise of distortion, making for a very eerie experience. The last also short song entitled Visions of Carcass has the ugliest sounding riff so far as well as the fastest. This is an old song only ever played live, captured in 1993 and released on a split with Anatomia in 2019. This is Transgressor at their most primal. It's great to see Transgressor back, and I hope that this EP is a springboard to a sophomore full length. It's available on August 24th, on vinyl from MSUO, on CD from Sewer Rot, and on tape from Unholy Domain. Thanks for watching these two reviews. If you want to see more reviews from me on this channel, as well as some of my colleagues, make sure you like and subscribe. As for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.